So thank you all for joining us on this beautiful Friday afternoon where you are in New York City. It's a great day, and we're out of Brooklyn. Glass Magazine is published by UrbanGlass, an arts nonprofit in Brooklyn, New York, and we are joined today by two people in Seattle. JABARI Owens-BAILEY, the curator of the Museum of Glass's exhibition Walter Lieberman's work, which we'll be hearing much more about this next hour, and Walter Lieberman, the artist, as well as the subject of the exhibition, as well as the explainer, the tour guide, the host, the MC of the Museum of Glass Hot Shop demonstrations since 2006. So we'll be hearing more about all of that. And first, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about this issue. This is an expanded deep dive into the current issue of Glass, which just was published on September 1st. We're very glad to share with you some of its contents. Our magazine is supported by art galleries, including Montague Gallery in San Francisco, Rego, the auction house in Lambertville, New Jersey, Traver Gallery in Seattle, the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, and Austin Art Projects, and we appreciate all of their support. So I'm joined today, as I mentioned, by Walter Lieberman, JABARI Owens-BAILEY. My name is Andrew Page, and we're talking about the current issue of Glass Quarterly, just published September 1st. Walter is one of the subjects of the 4 features in this issue. I'm going to give you a little tour of this magazine, just to give you a sense of what's in store if you do receive it. So yeah, as you may have noticed, there is a special offer. If you are to subscribe today as a Glass Quarterly live viewer, you're able to see our current issue for free. You'll receive it for free, and your subscription will not begin until the winter edition. I just want to mention a little bit that the Glass Quarterly Hot Sheet is our free online news service where we do publish articles of recent news, but it's not the same as the content in our print edition. Our print edition is where you'll find our reviews, where you'll find our feature articles, where you'll find our news that is exclusive to the print magazine. So I wanted to just make clear that if you might be familiar with our hot sheet, it's not the same content as what's available to subscribers. One of the big things we have coming up, this is our Glass Quarterly directory. It's like a white pages, if you know that term. It's all of the education programs around the world in glass, as well as many of the suppliers. And this is something that's being currently updated, and the 2026 quarterly directory will be available in our winter 2025 edition, and we're in the process of updating it. So if you are interested in subscribing, it's a little tricky when you go to glassquarterly.com or you go to UrbanGlass/glass. You can enter the promo code GQ Live, and if you circle where we see here in red, apply promo code, that's the button you have to press in order to enter GQLIVE, and that will give you the current edition free, and you won't begin your subscription until the next issue, which would be a full year of additional issues after that. So if you do have a question during this chat, we encourage dialogue and we're excited. That's why you joined us live. You'll be able to ask us questions. And please do, there's a Q&A on the bottom of your screen in the toolbar in the Zoom. And please use that to enter your questions. And Sahana, our managing editor, who's on this call with us, will field your questions and she'll join us at the end with any of the Q&As in the chat. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Jabari Owens-Bailey. He's an arts administrator, an educator, an artist, and he is the Curatorial Education Program Manager for the Museum of Glass. Now, Jabari received his BFA from the Corcoran College of Art and Design and an MFA from the School of Visual Arts. In addition, he's curated the Walter Lieberman show we're speaking about now, and it's on view until January at the Museum of Glass. He's also a regular contributor to Glass Quarterly, and he wrote the cover article on Leo Bright in our Fall 2024 edition, and he is the author of the article in our current edition about Walter and his work. We're very pleased Walter himself is also joining us on this call. And Walter grew up in New York City. He always loved drawing and art. And he left the Carnegie Mellon computer science program when a friend of his told him about glass blowing. And he ended up studying glass with Dan Daly at Mass Art. And as a graduation present from his mother, he was given a course at Pilchuck, which really changed the direction of his life. And he moved to the Northwest part of the United States. And he supported himself as an artist for decades. In 2006, he was hired at the Museum of Glass as the MC for their hot glass demonstrations as an explainer, and we'll be talking a lot about that today. And always his artwork background and his art abilities are part of his duties and is what makes the unique demonstrations of Museum of Glass so outstanding. And in his own work, Walter has also collaborated with Dick Weiss and others. So we're very pleased to welcome Walter Lieberman as well. Walter, I thought a nice place to start. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jabari, for being here this afternoon. And I wanted to say, I thought a nice place to start might be, maybe we can talk a little bit about the process, how you actually come up with your drawings. This is the way some of your drawings look in the magazine, but they're full of color, they're full of information, and they're full of beautiful, sensual understanding of glass itself. I love the way you render, the curves of glass and the sheen of glass comes through even in the two-dimensional images that you are drawing on the floor, but you're rendering with perspective so you can see some of the form and the shape. So we're going to look at a little video of Walter actually working. And Jabari, this is actually not on the floor. Is that right? Was this something special for the exhibition that you guys were working on?
Yeah, this is actually Walter working on our loading dock to create this this drawing right here.
These are the drawings that appear in the exhibition.
Okay, but this is not the floor, right, Walter? This is not the floor that you're drawing on in this case?
No, this is a panel. A wooden panel with chalk paint.
Yeah. So we ended up trying to figure out a way to create a surface for Walter's drawings that was that would accept the chalk in a similar way that the floor did. We went through several different substrates with our exhibition designer and ultimately settled here. I mean, at one point, we even went to a concrete store to see if we could get some concrete put on these panels, which ultimately we thought was going to end up weighing too much. And then we ended up with some type of chalk paint and like mixing it together with different materials in order to get like the ground that we have. And that's the material that Walter's drawing on. And
so this was because you didn't want to just have the exhibition on the floor of the gallery with Walter drawing on the floor of the gallery, right? The idea was to put it up on the wall.
Well, it proved a little impractical to have him drawing on the floor in the galleries because we would have had to figure out a way to seal all the floors, and then after the exhibition was over, to unseal them and bring it back up. But this way, at the end of the exhibition, there is work product. There's panels that are made that are able to be used outside of this exhibition. And so, this kind of is expanding Walter's work.
Okay, fantastic. So, Walter, can you talk a little bit about how you approach a drawing? Because I see like you're using color in a very interesting way here to really set off the work and to really give it this sort of visual intensity. How do you think about color? Because I mean, does chalk come in a lot of colors, or are you limited to a certain palette?
Well, you're sort of limited to palette. I mean, you can't mix them like paint. Um, you can blend them to a certain degree, but for I do these for the visitors to the museum, so I tend towards brighter colors. I tend towards um, colors that emphasize the three-dimensionality of the objects. I mean, in the sort of chalk drawing tradition on the hot shop floors, most people draw just a single line silhouette of the thing that they're going to make, and which works perfectly for artists, for the glass blowers and the designers, but for the visitors to the museum who don't have that experience, it's sometimes hard for them to interpret. So I'm always looking to emphasize the three-dimensionality of whatever I'm drawing.
That's great. And also, I imagine that you have a special supplier of chalk, or do you just use chalk from a regular store?
I use sidewalk chalk. I use art pastels. I just have a collection of all different chalks to whatever, gives me a lot of options.
So you also you were always interested in art, I understand. You were actually drawing and doing art before you went to college, in fact, right? Is that something that you were just drawn to naturally, or was there something in your life, a teacher at a grade school or something that led you to art?
I was always interested in art. Both my mom and dad were amateur painters. They did it, sort of recreationally, but they also they would take me to museums, and they were always encouraging and supportive of art making. So,
Mhm. And so you, what were some of your inspirations? Like, I know you're known, I guess your career as an artist is in three-dimensional objects, right? Which is
yeah.
as a glass artist, as a sculptor. When you went into this job at the Museum of Glass, were you already, like hitting the ground running? Did your work look the same in 2006 as it looks today, or was it a sort of process for you to evolve of a language and a vocabulary?
I mean, the job and my work are pretty much entirely separate, except for this drawing business. Um, I started out as a glass blower. I was a professional glass blower for 10 years. I worked at a small studio called the Glass Eye, and I became a teaching assistant to Albinus Elskis, who is a old Lithuanian glass painter who lived and worked in New York, but he was from Lithuania. And I was his assistant at Pilchuck, and he was really the guy that turned me on to painting. It was, I really owe my glass painting to Albinus.
So do you use some of the skills as a painter because you do a lot of work in painting with your chalk drawings? I mean, was it a translation of some of the ideas that you developed with paint on glass to chalk on floor? I mean, was there a process like it took you a while to make that translation, or was it something you took to pretty quickly?
No, I really don't associate my gallery artwork so much with the floor stuff. The floor stuff is different.
Okay.
Um, being a visual guy, when when I'm asked to explain something, my first thought is grab a pencil and do a drawing. And obviously that doesn't work with a big crowd in the hot shop. So I do it on the floor, and I do it at a large scale, and um, hopefully that helps people understand what's going on. Glass is not an easy process to understand. It's not the kind of thing you can look at and say, "Oh, okay, I know what they're doing." Somebody has to tell you, and so the drawings really help people to understand. I'm always inclined towards activities where art intersects with utility. I suppose you would call that craft, but um, whenever all the traveling that I've done in my life has been associated with teaching. But I love the fact that when I get to this place, I not only have, I know not only learn about the place where I am, but I have something, a purpose to do.
Yes. So I wanted to look a little bit at some of your actual drawings. So we can look at that in, let's see. Uh, the diagrammatic aspects of this drawing, to me, I mean, I don't know how long it took you to put this down onto the floor. This is actually a shot of one of your floor works,
Yeah,
correct?
this is done on the floor at the Hot Chocolate Museum of Glass, and this was done uh, to become an illustration in the Venice and American Studio Glass book.
Okay, so you were actually, this work was done on the floor, but its end product was to be published in a book about the
Yes.
studio glass.
Mhm.
This is the book that the Stanza del Vetro published
Yes.
a couple of years ago by, Tina Oldnow and William Warmus were curating that exhibition.
Yes. Tina and William commissioned me to do this.
Okay, would this have appeared, does this appear for Museum of Glass visitors as well? Are they, like when you do something about Zanfirico, as somebody who's doing a residency, do you actually share this with people?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I did it when a museum was closed, but and I photographed it, and whatever all the drawings that I do that are explaining type drawings, we have them I photograph them, and we use them as slides on our video screen in the hot shop.
So you're not always drawing in real life while the people are sitting watching people don't watch you draw at every
Oh, they do, they do.
okay.
But when I do a drawing, if it turns out good, I photograph it, and then I have it in my pocket for another time when somebody's doing the same sort of technique.
Do you travel around, Walter, by any chance? Have you seen the demo at the Corning Museum or the Chrysler Museum or other places? Have you watched glass demos?
I have not. I've seen a little bit online, but I haven't been. I went to the Corning Museum when I was a kid. I must have been in, I don't know, junior high or something. It was long before they had their new buildings. So I haven't seen it live at all, really.
I think everybody has their own style. I know Wheaton was actually the first place to do public glass blowing demonstrations at Wheaton Arts in New Jersey, where they had that amphitheater. I learned that recently, that they were actually the originators long before Corning, and then Corning saw that and they started to do that at Corning as well. But I've never seen anybody with this type of clarity explaining process. Often it's just a guy with a microphone, kind of riffing, with a couple questions about like how hot do you think glass is, like the kind of it becomes very sort of, boilerplate. And it seems like with these drawings, you're offering a whole other level of knowledge. People come away from your demos or the demos you're leading with, I'm sure, so much deeper understanding of what's going on. Do you have that sense, Jabari? I mean, have you seen other demos or are you? Yeah.
I have seen demos at like Chihuly Garden and Glass and here at the Museum of Glass and some stuff online, but I haven't been in person. But I haven't seen anything like Walter's drawings used as a tool for teaching. I think that they're very unique. Just also to be doing something off the cuff that has this type of dimensionality to it um, is very different. It's something that's taking place in real time. There is an ephemerality to it because at the end of the day, most of the time they're just washed away. But there's also just a great amount of care that's taken into the renderings, which is something that really made me want to um, work with Walter to create an exhibition around these drawings. I think drawing is oftentimes um, overlooked uh, or underplayed or diminished as an art form itself. But what these drawings are doing for glass, I think is very unique. And so that's definitely one of the reasons why I was very interested in this.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate the fact that, I've seen a lot of demos and I, like you, am struck by, how unique and how much information can pass because of the addition of the visual level. And I wouldn't have fully appreciated this without that exhibition and your article, Jabari. And so thank you for bringing this to our attention. And Walter, thank you for doing this level of explaining. Now, I think one of the things that came out in your article, Jabari, was the fact that this is not just anybody can do this. I mean, somebody with a deep knowledge of glass, like a hands-on feel for glass, right? A guy who not only understands what it looks like, but what it feels like, right? In some ways. And Walter, maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you, when you set out to draw something, I mean, you've done probably all these techniques that you're depicting. Is that true?
Most of them, not all of them. Um, but you know, being an ex-glass blower, I'm much more familiar than your average docent, say. I've actually done a lot of this. And I mean, the challenging part is I'm only going to have one image to render something, and to get all of it in one image, and to get a view that's clear to the audience.
Do you use it like, do you actually have like a pointer, like when you're actually showing, like when you finish the work? Uh, was this actually done like while people were sitting in the
Yes,
amphitheater? Yeah,
yes. This particular one, this was done spontaneously while the kids from the Hilltop Art Program were making these pieces.
that's amazing. That's amazing. And
Um,
just the complexity. I mean, just like the grid underneath, that is so well done, to think that you just did that off the cuff, right? Without
this
a ruler.
probably spent 20 minutes on this.
And as you're making this composition, are you speaking like as you, okay, I'm going to show you how we turn it, and then are you drawing the arrow at that point, or are you or is it just sort of like or is it silence when you're drawing?
We're usually silence. Usually, I try to draw a little. Maybe then I stand up and talk a little more, and then once the drawing is finished, I'm pointing to the drawing for this is a silver leaf. This is the vacuum table. This is how they roll them up. I really want people to understand it. I want them to understand the physicality of it.
Yeah. I mean, the physicality is reflected, right, in the fact that you're physically drawing it, right? Like you are actually by hand making this in real time, just like the people working at the bench, right?
Yeah. Well, I want it to be a little magical.
Yeah, and it's also probably revealed slowly, right? There's a certain magic in that it's coming to life as people are sitting there in real time watching it, the actual piece. I mean, you're getting it done in time with the people doing, I guess they're repeating the silver leafing over several objects while you're doing the drawing.
Yeah. Hmm.
And yeah, I just find it really fascinating too that you're using this, as it's evolving. I guess it's also another thing for people to look at. Like if it's a mystery, what are they doing over there? They can look at your drawing taking shape and sort of start to reveal what's behind it because there's so much information packed in here. And it's it's uh it's just remarkable to me. The lettering is very clear. The colors help things to set apart so that you can see the green part of the glass to really, offset it from the vacuum table surface. The red choice for the arrows of action, but then like you have the pink for just the IDing, right? Like you differentiate the informational arrow from the directional arrow, right? By color. Like that's really clever. Just in this sort of spontaneous drawing, you've got certain rules that you're following, right? It's got a certain language, a visual language. Motion is depicted in a different color than the pointers. And I love the little bit of the dust or how it fades toward the back. I just think that's really a nice touch. And then you see the silver leaf and there's like a lighting on the silver leaf. Um, it's really, I mean, it's a remarkable thing. Jabari, maybe you can talk about what made you think that this belonged not just on the floor, but on the wall, literally.
Um, well, I have an affinity for drawing. Um, and I had seen Walter drawing in the hot shop several times. And since I don't come from a glass background, I'd come from more of a just a general art background or a contemporary art background. When I got to this museum 5 years ago, um, ended up slowly just talking to Walter, asking him questions over time about how the process of glass blowing worked. I'd like to think we kind of formed a little friendship, and
I
we
think
we
I hope so.
we oh, me too. We talk occasionally about glass, about stuff, and you know,
Well, life.
about life. Yeah, absolutely. And he has really kind of educated me in the field. And just watching this take shape, it makes me think of um, like Jim Dine's drawings of tools that are in museums, and I think that he has the same type of gravitas with his drawings of techniques. While he thinks there's a distinction between this and actual artwork, I don't necessarily feel the same way. I think this is definitely art itself. Um, and so I thought it needed to be elevated. And so, we talked about this exhibition for a while. Um, I had another exhibition up a few years ago, a two-way mirror, and I was telling him, I was like, the next exhibition, if I get a chance to curate another one here at this museum, I'd like it to be your drawings. And originally we talked, and I wanted it to be maybe like the documentation of these drawings, maybe photographs of them. And Walter had no interest in that, and he made it very clear that it needed to be something that existed in real space and real time, um, and that people are already looking at images all day, already looking at screens all day. And so one of the things that was very important to him was that these are actual drawings that are in the space. And so creating this exhibition ended up figuring out how to navigate that. Um,
Oh, that's so fascinating. Yeah, I mean, the texture, the tangibility of this is it's so strong. I mean, this doesn't look like any other drawing I've seen of glass. It has, I mean, just look at the texture on the glass itself, which is partly the floor coming through in this case. The way
right,
you even work with the texture of the floor, Walter. I mean, you're like maximizing its effect with this sort of lighter chalk. You see the reflection in the actual top of the vessel or of the bubble. You're seeing chalk, but like the way you work with the floors, you're revealing the floor a bit, the grittiness of the concrete on the floor, and you're using that as part of the effect of the light on the glass. I mean, it's really remarkable as working with what you have to bring this to life in a way that I totally agree with Jabari. It's something that is real and tangible and not something that's, digital. It's absolutely analog, right? It's as analog as it gets.
right.
So I was
Walter,
insi-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was insistent that they be looking at the real thing. Um, you know, I don't want to pay. I wouldn't pay $20 to go see the photograph of something. You go into a museum, you want to see the real thing. So we had to come up with a process where they could see the actual drawings. And obviously, it was a lot of extra work for me, but I feel good about it because um, it looks the way that the drawings look on the floor of the shot shop. I love working on the floor, but the panels were a challenge because it doesn't have quite that same quality. But um, yeah, I was insistent that if we're going to do an exhibition, it has to be a real physical, tangible thing.
You
Would
know,
would you
Go
say
ahead,
that?
Jabari.
Oh, okay. Would you say that you like the drawing on the floor better than those than the panels that we used for the exhibition?
Way more. I love the floor. Um, I've had some problems with my knees, which has recently prevented me from drawing on the floor. But yeah, it's so physical. It's so raw when you do it on the floor. And I do it at a very large scale. And you can't, when you see the pictures like this where they're cropped and nicely thing, you look at that thing, you think it's probably, 14 by 17. But in when I make them pictures on the floor, I make them rather really large, so the drawing becomes a physical act, and it's just fun.
I know that you told me, Walter, that they are usually projected on a screen overhead in addition to being visible. But it sounds
Well,
like,
because
yeah,
just for utility's sake, we have a what would you call it? We have a lot of them. We have one that explains in Calmo. We have one that explains Zamfirico. We have one, and so to have all these different techniques, at your beck and call, that really is useful in my narrator role.
yeah,
If
yeah.
somebody asks a question, I can just pull up a drawing,
Right.
and that helps them understand it.
So there is a digital version, but these, you said you make them at giant scale, and I'm sure at great,
You
expense.
have the
Yeah.
picture of me drawing for Martin Yanetsky?
I don't have it queued up. I think Jabari might have it, but I was just going to say that you were actually drawing at scale big enough that people at the upper seats of the amphitheater can make it out, even like from with their naked eye from the theater seats. You can see it if it's 20 feet across, right? You're doing it for them, for the
Yeah,
people.
I would say they're average. They're probably 6 feet by 6 feet.
Okay,
So
okay.
what you're looking at now, it doesn't register as that. But Jabari, do you have any of those, pictures of me drawing?
Uh, we can see them in a bit. I can bring them back up after we're going to cut away to Jabari's tour. Everyone on this call and those who will see the recording will get a special treat, which is that Jabari will give a little walkthrough of the actual exhibition at the museum in a few minutes. But I also wanted to just mention like how cool that the place you guys both work for, that the Museum of Glass, would support this exhibition, and that they invest in having somebody like yourself, Walter, to do the demonstration commentary that can bring a whole other dimension to it. And I know that the museum's mission when it was founded, I mean, the whole centerpiece is literally the hot shop, right? It's that
Right.
giant cone at the center architecturally. And the idea of the museum, although it's didn't start out as a collecting museum, but it's building a collection through its residency program, because it's like a living, breathing kind of glass studio museum. And it seems like there could be, if there's a place for demos with these types of illustrations, I think it's the Museum of Glass, that also allowed for an exhibition of this to take place so organically. It's just wonderful. I don't think every museum would have done this. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Museum of Glass in Tacoma for how they're so it's so alive. They bring glass to life in a way that few other places are able to do. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and to celebrate that. And to talk about this drawing, Walter, I mean, this one just blew me away I love the way you just, showing the cracking, right? This is the thermal shock of water hitting glass, hot glass. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you decided to, I mean, even have like the inner layer differentiated from the outer layer, like in that extra diagram, it's like 2 for 1 here, but it's like a really ingenious diagram that explains a lot of complicated ideas.
Well, sometimes I'll do a little pencil sketch and to sort of just a plan of how, what I need to show people in order for them to understand it. But it's all pretty spontaneous, I don't know. I just want to show them what it's doing, and I just grab the chucks and go for it.
I mean, compositionally, I mean, you know, you it, you left enough room, like the whole thing holds together, as a single work, yet it has like the side window that opens up to sort of explains like the exploded view of the inside of the surface, where, the inner layer doesn't crack, the outer layer, you show the temperature difference, I guess, with the different color choices there. And
Yeah.
and then the steam, and then the sound, I mean, in this case you don't have the hiss of the water hitting the glass, but in others, like where you do the cracking off, you write crack, and we had chatted before about one of your unusual inspirations, right, which was when you were a kid, you were into a magazine that was full of illustrations.
Mad Magazine. My original original ambition was to learn how to draw like Mad Magazine. So I would copy the cartoon characters from Mad Magazine. And
So for those, yeah, for those people who aren't old, who are a little younger, who might not know
oh
what
yeah,
Mad Magazine is, maybe you can explain what that was or is. I
it
guess it's
was
still
a
being published.
satirical magazine. It had several comics in it, several comic series in it, and it was always sort of tongue in cheek. Um, there was one called Spy versus Spy with these sort of minimal cartoon characters, ones that were kind of Russian and then ones that were American. The ones that were Russian wore black hats. The ones that were American were white hats.
Cold War
And,
era. Yeah.
yeah, it was it was popular with sort of preteen kids, I would say, preteen boys especially. And yeah,
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I've read about it, and I've seen it, and it basically, I mean, at a time of a lot of conformity, right? It was like it was pulling the rug out from under this veneer, right? That like the truth is underneath is much more complicated, but also lots of it was diagrams, right? Like spy versus spy, but also there would be like crazy machines, right? There would be
yes,
often like
like a
Rube
Rube
Goldberg type
Goldberg type
machines. Yeah,
machine.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
so
so
yeah,
it really appealed to sort of wise guy uh, early teenagers.
yeah. I guess in this case, it shares not, I think, the attempt to take down anything or to make fun of anything, obviously, but to reveal, right? To explain, to take the mystery away in some ways. And we had chatted a little bit before this call, Walter, and you had mentioned you want people not to be intimidated by a museum, right? Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit more about that? Like these drawings help people to feel like they can make sense of this some way?
Yeah, I mean, we get people from all walks of life. We actually have a very small percentage of our visitors who are actually glass people or people knowledgeable about glass. And so most of them are just ordinary people, plumbers, lawyers, truck drivers, school teachers. And so a lot of people, when they come to the museum, they're not quite comfortable. This kind of art environment is not where they feel at home. They're a little bit self-conscious. And I feel like it's my duty as the tour guide to try and help them feel comfortable, to be not afraid to ask questions, not afraid that they're going to sound stupid or that, I want them to be comfortable in the space and um, it's kind of edutainment. I want them to enjoy it, first and foremost, but maybe learn something, go home and tell their friends and relatives they had a good time.
That's great. That's so generous of you. Jabari, did you have any thoughts on that accessibility piece of this puzzle?
Yeah, I think that is definitely making what's happening in the hot shop more accessible. But I also think that Walter's adding to the wow factor that's happening in the hot shop. It's like look at these amazing world-class glass artists that are creating these um, these amazing pieces, and oftentimes making work for visiting artists. And then to have Walter with world-class illustrative capabilities, able to, in real time, make these images. Both performances are happening simultaneously. And they are just adding to the visitor experience. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, drawing on that floor is a performance itself, and it's here we're seeing an image that's cropped, um, so it has borders and boundaries, but this is just taking up a portion of the floor that's actively being worked on, and so it is part of the space that is actually is activated. It's live. It's actually has this work happening at the same time,
Yeah.
and it's actually communicating with this history of glass artists drawing on the floor in order to um, communicate with other gaffers about what's about to happen in the hot shop. And so there is historical precedence for what's going on. I don't think those drawings were this detailed, but I think there's a sophistication in the fact that it's communicating with the past of the actual medium itself.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Jabari. And Jabari, if you're willing, maybe we can get a quick tour, walkthrough of your actual exhibition. I know you have something queued up, and I wanted to see if you might be willing to show that.
All right, we can definitely do that. All right, so this is kind of just shows you what as you walk into the exhibition, what it looks like. These are all the artists that are featured in the exhibition. We wanted to make sure that we had artists who have amazing work that could actually, their work functions as illustrations of Walter's drawings.
Okay,
So we have
can you explain that a bit better, Jabari? So you have work by other people, and you have Walter's work side by side, or how does that work? Yeah.
So, yeah, they are oftentimes side by side. Maybe one would be on top of the other, or just kind of like you can look through a vitrine and see the piece on the other side of it. We have pieces by Sonia Bloomdahl, James Carpenter. We have some of Walter's actual pieces himself. We have pieces by Benjamin Moore, Anthony Schaffermeyer, Michael Shunke, Matteo Seguso, and Dave Walters, all who have work that Walters' illustrations are helping us to see the process through which those pieces were made.
Can I
Uh,
just jump in for one quick second? So are you saying then that these people were doing their residencies in the hot shop well, and Walter was drawing there to explain when they were being watched by other people what they were doing? These were these were drawings that took place when these guys had their residencies?
So I don't know if this is always a one-to-one relationship like that. In some cases it is, but the pieces that are featured in the exhibition, they incorporate the techniques that are illustrated by Walter. Um, but some of the pieces that are in the exhibition actually show they're recreations of pieces that he made to kind of illustrate the process of that actual piece that's happening. But that I would not say that's true for every single piece that's in this exhibition, though.
The Dave Walters drawing of his Pinocchio sculpture. That
Right,
was I was actually there. That was definitely one where I was drawing that as Dave was making that.
right, and also the James Carpenter piece,
Yes, did that
um,
was also
and
um
the Shunky goblets too.
yes.
Yep. So those would be the pieces that I would say are directly like there is that one-to-one relationship where it's happening simultaneously. And then he recreated these drawings for the exhibition. Anyway, let's see a little walkthrough of the exhibition. And so this is the front of the exhibition, and here we actually have three pieces by Walter himself, which I'll talk about in a little more detail in a little while. But we wanted to make sure that we included work to kind of contextualize the fact that Walter, in addition to doing these amazing illustrations, is actually a glass artist in his own right. And here we kind of can see through what I was talking about. In the front, we have this piece by Sonia Bloomdahl, Sienna Blue, but that's using this Encalmo technique. And then as you look through to the other side, you can see the Encalmo drawing. there is a piece by Matteo Seguso that's right behind that Dave Walters Pinocchio piece that we wanted to be an example of a piece that used a lot of puntying up. And then there's a puntying up diagram that's directly across from it. And so all of these pieces are in conversation with the actual the illustration of the techniques. This right here we can see the Seguso piece that I was just talking about. And then you see behind that there is a piece of this roller wrap piece. Sorry, this is every time I stop it, it seems to want to start on have a mind of its own. This is that Dave Walters piece that I was just talking about. The Dave Walters piece is called Impropriety, and it is like a Pinocchio type of piece that Walter made an illustration of the actual piece, and then it was actually created after that. So he was showing the audience what the piece was going to look like prior to it being made.
One thing, whenever you get in a glass shop, everything starts out looking like a little orange ball. You know, whether it's a Pinocchio or a monkey or Dale Chihuly, it all looks like a little orange ball when you start. So people are always asking, what are you making? And I point to the drawing, that's what they're making. And that sort of makes sense to them. That's it. Go, Jabari.
Oh yeah, it's loading.
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
And here we have a roller wrap illustration that we have a piece by Benjamin Moore, interior fold platter, that is illustrating that. And then here we have this horizon lens James by James Carpenter. That Walter has the drawing right kind of, we wanted that drawing to be somewhat on the floor so that this one kind of gives us a somewhat of an idea of what it's like to have a piece on the floor. So we wanted this panel to be kind of on the floor to show how that generally works. So we ended up having a way to have it sort of angled. And then the piece right over top of it. And this is that interior fold platter by Benjamin Moore. That was the piece that was directly relating to the roller wrap technique that we saw earlier that Walter made a drawing of. And here we have this piece by Walter where it's illustrating this piece called Pandora's Box. And then we have him doing illustration of picking up cane on a collar, which would have been used to make that piece. And so you see the two directly next to each other. And so they're in conversation with each other.
Does Walter, do you give tours of your exhibition, or Jabari, when you give a tour, does Walter come along for the ride?
We did a walkthrough, but we haven't done any other tours as of yet, and neither one of us does that docent job. So we
Mhm.
have some very capable docents who we gave a walkthrough, so they kind of understand the basis for these things. Um, and here we have this the Michael Shunky goblets uh, right next to um, Walter's illustration of the goblet and the process used to make them. And his goblets were somewhat different than the way a lot of other people make them. And so Walter wanted to kind of show um, how Shunky's goblets particularly were made when you connect the stem and the bowl, um, and that it's done with a torch. Some other people might use a what did you call it? A glue bit,
Lubin.
glass between the two,
Got it. Yeah.
whereas Shunky does not. And so um, it was very important that he had this distinctly this way in the piece.
Do you do that much background shading, Walter, on the floor, or was this something
No,
that you reserved for the wall piece?
yeah, it just seemed like seemed like uh, it needed a little activation of the background on the in the wall panels, but on the floor, no, I don't. I don't. I just the floor is what it is.
What kind of feedback have you guys been getting? And Walter, do you hear from people who've seen your exhibition? And Jabari, what is the critical or audience response been like?
Um, I've gotten really great responses to the exhibition, and particularly on the days when Walter's emceeing, people are really fascinated to see um, this work that was created by him, and then also kind of like seeing him work in that space too. And also just right here, this is a screen that shows that there is a mini documentary that we ended up making about Walter's life and work. Um, that's kind of showing in the museum, and people learn so much about his background, his life, his own artistic practice in terms of as a glass maker and also a glass painter. And so all of that history is kind of explored within that mini documentary. It's about 20 minutes long. Um, Here, this is an example of one of the pieces that is in the exhibition that is of Walter's collaboration with Dick Weiss. The name of their group is WD40 Plus because they were, when they were making this, when still are, they were men of a certain age uh, who were over 40 years old, and it was Walter and Dick, so WD, and then 40 plus, so like the lubricant that lubricates everything. They also are just like a collaborative team and a group of friends that have been working together for years. Um, and I in our documentary, when I interviewed Dick Weiss, he had a number of kind things to say about Walter's artwork and why he wanted to collaborate with him. And so we wanted to show Walter as a collaborator, Walter as um, an artist in his own right, a glass artist in his own right. Here we have a piece, uh, Madonna de Calatrava, um, that incorporates these kind of decals that Walter incorporates in these glass objects from time to time. And you saw that this actual Madonna when you were traveling through Spain, right, Walter?
Yes, the
Uh,
church, the Calatrava is the name of the church.
mhm.
It's
So
in Madrid.
so he incorporated that in here, and and over the course of doing this documentary about Walter, there were several different Madonnas that he made, uh, which I uh, um, which I find fascinating. Um, just kind of these ideas of these reliquary pieces and things that hold like a spiritual significance. Um, Here, this piece is called Unhinged. This was something that he um, made during a residency here at Museum of Glass. Um, and it was a piece that was made from kind of like a outgrowth of some designs that Walter and James Mongrain had come up with together. Um, but this piece is his own. And so these pieces are kind of like there is a vessel that is kind of suspended over top of another vessel through these three anchor points that are on the handle of the vessel. And so like they're kind of very sophisticated in the way that one is anchored on top of the other at three different points. Um, I don't know if Walter, if you want to talk about like your reasoning for wanting to do that.
Sure. This was part of a collaboration that I did with James Mongrain, who's like an incredible glass blower. And Jim and I first collaborated on a project to make champagne glasses, floating champagne glasses to drink champagne in the bathtub. We had a lot of fun with that. We had a big exhibition. And we started this second collaboration, working on these designs, sort of, Art Deco based designs, where the parts are sort of in penetrating each other, but sort of not touching. Something where uh, you look at it, and you don't see right away that it's not actually put together the way you think it is. It's very difficult glass blowing, and I worked with the Museum of the Glass Hot Shop team. They're incredible glass blowers, and they stepped up to this very difficult project.
That's great.
Also, just the forms are kind of loosely based on Asian ceramics. They have what they call the double gourd form. You see it in a lot of different, you see it in Korean ceramics, Chinese ceramics, Japanese ceramics. And so that was
Fascinating.
another inspiration.
Guys, I don't want to cut anything short, but I am looking at the time, and we've gone pretty much coming to the close of our available time. But Jabari, I don't know if you have like a last slide you can move to, and then we can kind of wind things down, just because we have a time slot that's about to we've got about
That's
2 more minutes. Yeah.
Well, this is a kind of a last piece that I wanted to show. It's called Urban Landscape. That Walter was used sandblasted into and then put some concrete in from some vitrolite glass that he liberated from a construction site. Um, and I think that this just kind of shows the breadth of his work. In addition to these beautiful illustrations that were part of Walter Lieberman, Are You the Guy Who Does the Drawings in the Hot Shop, which was the title of the exhibition was also something that Walter just told me people asked him all the time. So I thought it was a very tongue-in-cheek kind of title for an exhibition. But it was just wonderful kind of getting to know more about Walter's history, having these drawings elevated from literally from the floor to the wall, and really kind of taking on a life of their own.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say that, you sense from the drawings that there's a lot behind them, right? I mean, they're on the one hand, like Walter said, they're inviting and they're not intimidating, but at the same time, what I think what you recognize, Jabari, was, they're not just drawings, and I would agree with that. And I think having the context of some of Walter's ideas for sculpture and the many sources and his curiosity and his thinking, that sort of makes the point that there is a whole lot more there beyond the drawing and the diagramming. It's actually such a sensitivity to the material and so many strong ways of approaching glass, from a conceptual point of view as well as from a technical point of view. And I think that it sounds like the exhibition just checks all those boxes and really captures and reveals more about these drawings that have always been, so helpful to people, but also I think so full of information as well as ideas that this shows you like so many of what's behind these drawings, which maybe at first glance look simple, but really are anything but simple. So just wanted to thank both of you. I mean, we might have time. Sahana, I don't know if we have a question or two in the chat. Feel free to jump on if you have a question, Sahana, if there's something that came in the chat on the Q&A. But we are coming close to the edge of the time. And yep.
We don't have any questions so far, so yeah.
Okay. I think
Is
I
it
might have
possible
seen-
to show the photo of me drawing? I want people to understand the scale. That's kind of important to me. If you got that handy.
Yeah, I could. If you give me a second, I might be able to pull that up. Let's see. It's a little. That was something that we had on the hot sheet actually article. So that might be. Here it is. If I can zoom in on it, I'll share my screen in one split second. Yeah, I can zoom in on it. So you can see this when I share my screen. Back to Zoom and share screen. So can you guys see this illustration that Walter is doing on the floor there in the Instagram page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want them to see that so they realize it's not me working on a piece of paper.
Yes. This is an idea, Walter, of this is a typical scale for what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes. This is a drawing I did for the glass sculptor Martin Yanetsky from Czech Republic.
Walter, just a last quick question. I want to thank you both, but how much chalk do you buy like in a given month?
Well, I mean, I'm not that much. I mean, the sidewalk chalks are pretty big, so they last a long time.
Okay.
I buy art pastels to do the very saturated colors. I really need a bright red or a bright blue. I use art pastels.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both so much for being a part of the Glass Quarterly Live and for your wonderful contribution, Jabari, to the magazine's current fall 2025 edition, Glass number 180. If you are interested in subscribing, you can use the special code GQLIVE when you get to the subscribe page. Congratulations, Walter. What an amazing achievement. The work you've done in the hot shop and then to have it as well on the gallery floor. Jabari, thank you so much for your sensitivity and perceptive abilities to see what richness was on display on the museum floor and bringing it into the gallery. So thank you both so much for your time this afternoon, and congratulations, Walter, on this great exhibition.
Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate your time and your interest.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, and thank you all for attending, and we'll see you at the next edition of Glass Quarterly Live.